Apologise to Mubi. Look Mubi in the eyes and say, I'm sorry for hurting you.
Mubi, I am so sorry for this. Please pay our invoice.
You get 30 days for free. The African Desperate is streaming exclusively on Mubi. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the White Pube podcast. My name is Gabrielle De La Puente.
And I'm Zarina Mohammed.
And today's episode is gonna be horrific.
I'm really stressed. I've purposefully not had a look at the stuff that's come in, so that you can get my genuine reaction.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you because I wanted to see your genuine reaction. Today's episode is about the weirdness of art school. We asked our audience to tell us some stories about like things that they witnessed, things that were said to them that like they're never gonna forget. And this is like a question we can ask our audience about like the strange things that they saw and the strange things that happened to them, because art school is so fucking weird. Like, it's just weird. It's not the straightforward learning experience that you might expect if you were doing like an English literature course where you like go to the library and read a book and highlight something and then write an essay about it, and like it's just not what happens. Like, something strange has to happen in the studio setting because the outcome is also strange. So we're doing today's episode about art school because we know it's something that our audience is gonna find amusing, but also just like horrifying as well. It's strangely traumatic. I've felt so overwhelmed reading the answers that have come in. Like, it's been so intense. I've split the categories up into animals, bodily fluids.
No. No.
Weird tutors. And then weird students. Like, that's sort of it. That it just falls into those four categories, like, kind of comfortably.
But is it like a Venn diagram where there's like weird students, bodily fluids,
Some of
weird
them,
tutors?
Some of them are a Venn diagram, and we'll get to that. But just before we start, today's episode is sponsored by Mubi, which, guys, we fucking did it. We fucking found a little tiny sponsor, a big sponsor, someone that we absolutely love.
Everyone just take a minute to like really, this was a team effort.
I'd
like to thank Gabrielle. I'd like to thank my mum. Just all our supporters, really, actually.
Thank you for everyone who's ever read The White Pube. Thank you for everyone who's ever listened. We got to like, what is this, 102 episodes of the podcast, and this is like our first like legit cool big name recognizable sponsor for an episode, so I'm fucking buzzing. I don't even feel like cringe talking about having a sponsor for an episode because it's so cool.
Can everyone just listen to this episode like a minimum of 10 times?
Yeah,
if you're listening to this,
play it on repeat.
And you can just don't tell Mubi this, just turn the volume all the way down to 0, leave it on while you're asleep, just on repeat. Yeah. That's fine. Run the numbers up. You got to make us look really fucking good to Mubi so we can be like, yeah, 1 million people listen to this.
And then they might sponsor more, fingers crossed. So we're working with Mubi this week to promote the release of The African Desperate, which is a new film out by Martine Sims, who you might know because you might have been to an exhibition by Martine Sims. I don't know. I only ever knew her as an artist, and now there are films. So the film is about art school. It's about art students in a school in upstate New York. And it's so intense and heady. It also feels like this episode of us discussing like people's experiences of art school is like a bit of a debrief. Like, the stories that came in seemed strangely like familiar, even if it was a story from France or Manchester or America. Like, something weird is happening. It's in the water at this point. So before we get into it, the film on Mubi, it's streaming exclusively on Mubi, and all of our listeners and readers and all the people that we like in the world can watch Mubi for 30 days for free. So just click the link in the description and
Even
enjoy.
if we personally hate you, please use the link.
Yeah, especially if we.
You can also. I reviewed this, Gabrielle.
I know. I'm sorry. I feel genuinely, as I said, overwhelmed. There are like files upon files on my desktop of people talking about doing things with chickens and dogs. No. I don't know where I am.
You're in orbit.
I'm in orbit. You need to just take over so I can like breathe for a second.
I should also say, if you do watch The African Desperate and you want like a specific debrief about the film, then I reviewed it last Sunday, because this will be out the Sunday after. So last Sunday, go on the website. It should still be in the top banner. If not, then we will link this in the YouTube description or the Spotify description. There's a link to the review, and it is a nice companion text in GDLP's own words to the film. So watch the film, read the review, listen to this episode 100 times, and then we'll send you something in the post maybe if you tell us that you've done all three of those things.
Yes. Okay, let's start. What category do you want to start with?
No.
You pick.
Animals.
Fair warning. There are animals involved in this. If that's not your jam, I don't think it's anyone's jam. It's some people's jam because obviously they did these things. But you've been warned. Number 1. A guy made a spear and hunted pigeons on the streets of Amsterdam.
Hunted is a very pointed choice of word. On the streets of a spear, hunted. Next.
At my first ever lecture in art college, the first day of first year, the head of my school gave us a lecture while holding a taxidermy dog's head and running around holding it on various students' heads, as well as pieces of furniture and also different places on himself.
No. Does it get worse?
It immediately gets worse. A guy in first year went through a phase of using a chicken carcass instead of a brush.
No. That's not sanitary. He'd have given everyone salmonella, surely. That's not the food's hygiene standards.
Speaking of food hygiene standards, someone wanted to paint using pig's blood, so they stored it in the shared fridges. Same day, food and safety inspection did their rounds in our department and they closed our studio space for 3 weeks.
That's quite funny. The other ones, not so much. The other ones we do take seriously.
It's so bad. And then...
the taxidermy dog's head.
And then these...
Imagine you're in a lecture. That's the weird tutor's animal crossover.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And then 2 about a goldfish, and then we're just going to swiftly move on.
Okay.
Was at a party once where my fellow art schooler ate a goldfish alive. Rumours of someone setting a live goldfish in resin. And there was obviously upset at the cruelty of this. But he, quote, won against the repercussions by convincing the other white men who were deciding on disciplinary matters that his concept was just so good, it had to be done.
What was the concept? Animal cruelty?
It's so bizarre. I almost think it should just definitely be, some kind of law that art
I think that is
students
illegal.
shouldn't...
That is illegal.
I hope so.
Well, I mean, I don't know. If you did that to, a cat or a dog, the police would be on you, no? Because they'd be like, you're a serial killer.
Yeah, just get better fucking ideas. If you have to use animals as material, you probably shouldn't be an artist.
If you have to commit murder on the streets of Amsterdam with a spear, yeah, even if it's pigeons, I don't know for you.
You should go and do law. Not law, actually. I don't trust
accounting.
You to do law.
Do you know what? Just do the numbers. I hated that. Why did we start that?
We shouldn't have started with that.
Do bodily fluids.
As if that's any better. Oh,
I'm
God.
assuming it'll be funnier.
I feel like I should put another content warning. This stuff is just so gross and weird and just baseless behavior. We will zoom through again and then we'll get to the almost the better stuff about the tutors and students. Okay. In my first week at art school, a guy in my class did a shit on a scanner and then put the images on cushions, and the tutors loved it. Do you know what I feel the need to say at this point? Is like, I'm sorry to Martine Sims. I'm sorry to Mubi.
It's going to come up in the search engine results when you Google the alphabet.
The thing is, though, like, the film itself almost does make space for, like, that weird physical, like, freedom that people make use of in art school. Like, there's just no rules and everyone can make what they want and everyone can, like, do what they want, and that might involve their own bodies or it might involve someone else's bodies. Like, that's almost in the film, even if it's, like, not, yeah.
Yeah, but why shit, though, Gab? Like, has it got to be shit? Like, is it...
Well, this
in a
one...
scanner!
I think
How
this
are you
is...
meant to use the scanner again?
I think this is the single worst one I read.
This upcoming one?
This one.
Okay, well, let me
Everyone brace yourself. At the opening of our work in progress show at the Royal College of Art, a performance student literally pulled shit out of their arse and dragged it across the floor and then smeared it on the surrounding walls. Fair to say the students who had work showing in the space for the rest of the week were not impressed.
What do you mean? The word pulled.
Pulled.
Is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Very evocative, isn't it?
I've never pulled a shit out of myself. How physically? What's the physics?
I feel so ashamed.
Have you pulled a shit?
No.
What is that what you're about to say?
No. I mean, like, I feel ashamed that, like, these stories are connected to art school.
Oh.
I've not pulled a shit. Oh, yeah, you should have let me finish, Serena. Someone's going to clip that and then...
That's clickbait.
I'm the shit girl.
This is the clip that ends up on Instagram.
Like, let's just quickly combat that. Tell me the best thing about art school. I want the diametric opposite of what we've just heard. Quick. Redeem us. Redeem the entire industry.
Gab, I can't think. All I'm thinking about right now is physically, how would you pull a shit out of your ass? Do you just stick an...
This is a podcast audio medium. Serena's doing some finger motions on the screen. Do
you just simply insert your fingers and, like a claw machine?
Like a claw machine.
Fish around for something to grab onto. Like it's a little poo prize.
A little poo prize. Redeem us, please. Redeem us.
What was good? We met each other. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed the canteen lunches. They were nice. Do you remember all the library books we stole? They're still, half of them are behind me.
Shush. Why don't you maybe talk about what you wrote about in the review? The good changes that happen in art school.
I'm very stressed out by all of this. Okay, right. So I think as a positive upside of art school, it does... These weird things happen to you and they do change you, but it is for the better, I think, sometimes, because you're a more... It's like you're an expanded person. You've had the expansion pack, right? Yeah, maybe you get traumatised by watching one of your peers.
I feel really guilty that this is our first podcast sponsorship. This is the last podcast sponsorship as well. This is it. We reached the apex.
We just introduced this by saying everybody on your best behaviour.
Yeah.
And then you proceeded to tell the most horrifying story I've ever heard in my life.
It's not my fault, though.
They smeared it on the walls and we had to exhibit on those walls for the rest of the week.
Oh, God.
Oh, Okay. Art school changes you, and maybe that's a good thing, because then you're wise to the world. Once you've seen your classmate pull a shit out, nothing's going to surprise you. You know what I mean? You're worldly.
That's a good story as well.
It's a cracking story. I really want to have a chat with the person who saw that and just be like, tell more.
Please. We beg. While we're in the trauma, let's just carry on with the trauma and then let's...
More bodily fluids. Let's go.
More bodily fluids. Someone in my studio made a piss painting by weeing on toilet paper and smushing it onto a canvas. And during a crit, a visiting lecturer touched
No.
it and praised the texture.
Praised the
I don't know if this happened when you were in like primary school, but people used to like wet paper, like paper towels and stuff, and like throw them on the ceiling. That's what I'm visualizing.
I was imagining, as you said that, I was imagining that they'd wheel on the paper towel, use the paper towel to daub the piss.
Daub.
Like maybe they'd use the piss like in a watercolour situation.
Oh, yeah.
That would be quite beautiful, actually. You could make some very haunting imagery.
What would you have to like eat and drink in the day though to get those shades that you needed? Do you know what I mean?
No, you'd
drink
use
water
it on like a Winsor Newton, on a Winsor Newton watercolour palette. You'd just use the piss instead of normal water.
Oh, it would be like the activation agent. I understand.
Yeah,
okay.
And it would simply evaporate off, but you'd know it's piss.
Fucking hell.
That's a kink. Not to kink shame anyone, but that must be a kink. Like, someone's fucking into that. Somewhere in the world, there's someone who's like listening to this and is like, yeah.
There was a lot of messages about like sex related stuff. I didn't include all of them because I didn't want to. Quite frankly.
There's more.
So, you know, things like Goldsmith's art student, someone spends their crit having sex in a box. Brackets, really. One student created a performance piece in which they filmed themselves and a partner having sex in one of the university's public bathrooms.
What sized box?
Good question.
'Cause
I was thinking exactly the same.
not a shoebox.
And did they make the box themselves? Like, did they go to the workshop in uni and be like, listen, I've got these measurements. Can you help me make this box?
Because a gazebo-sized box
Is just a room.
That's just... But...
Moving on. But not really. First crit. A mature student presented her post-coital fluids painting. Like, she literally just squatted over a canvas after sex with her husband and then brought it in to show a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Why have you got to involve all these people? You know what I mean? Like, some people are into that. That's fine. But it's just a lack of consent for me. You've not asked those people, hello, would you like to see my sex fluids painting?
That's a good point. Because we ask for consent in order to show, like, you know, explicit imagery. I want to know when it's explicit materials.
She might have done. You don't know, actually. We don't know. She might have been like, hey, guys,
can I show you this?
My sex fluid painting. And they might have been like, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
But there's something there. There's something. It's not just like, here's the painting, it's bodily. Oh my God. They're getting... Freud would have a field day with this, no?
I feel like I want to have a field day with this.
Should we do some psychoanalysis?
Let's just do some psychoanalysis, like we know what we're talking about, because...
I think there's a degree of exhibitionism, which, if that's your bag, that's your bag, but call it what it is.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a prude. I sound like a prude, no?
I'm worried we might sound like prudes.
I just think, do you know what, if you're going to fuck, why have you got to bring art into it?
Yeah.
But then, again, why not? Playing devil's advocate, this It's not edgy. No one's saying it's edgy. But bodies are there as material, and if you're not the box, but the sex fluids, right? If you're using the piss as watercolor, water's scarce, right? You know, there might be a water crisis. You know what I mean? Like, it's recycling.
Cough, cough, recycle.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's somewhere.
Is the devil's advocate point more like maybe she's just like so into her relationship and she's so into like that very primal act of sexual intercourse that like that's the type of shit we should be making art about, and arguably we also should be making art about shit. And do you know, like, all the bits of us?
There. No,
but like shit. all the bits of us. Like, why are you trying to censor the shit?
I can excuse the sex. I draw the line at the shit. Okay, like in the sex I can understand, because yeah, I get that. In the heat of the moment, the passion, right? That's something you maybe want to capture because it's productive. You know, there's energy there, right? Cool. Can get on board. What? Do you know? No, do you know what? If you're really about it, let's see you and your husband fuck live and direct in front of us. Do it here. Why am I seeing the detritus? The fucking periphery. Fuck the fluids. I want to be in the splash zone. I want to feel like I'm at SeaWorld, yeah? Like,
I feel like I'm having an out-of-body moment.
I'd like to signal to help. I'd like to stop this. Let's just stop. Okay, if we stop now, if we cut our losses, we can quit while we're ahead and we don't have to hear anymore.
YouTube, we just started to like resurrect YouTube. That YouTube channel, banned.
Demonetized. I stand by that though. If you're really about it, do it here now. Because I feel like the sex fluids painting is a measly middle point. You're just giving me a halfway house. If you really want to be gratified by involving all of us 18-year-olds in your sexual activity, just do it here. Do it then.
You wimp.
You wimp.
Speaking of weird students, let's move on to the other category.
Is that the end of bodily fluids?
Do you know what? It wasn't the end of bodily fluids. But it's the end for me. First project of the year. This one guy, this is really good. This one guy in my foundation course at Chelsea did a performance art piece where he pretended to be dead and didn't come in for the rest of the term.
That's funny.
It's really funny.
Did he pass though?
I don't know. There's no follow-up. Similarly,
yeah,
a crit where we watched a film of a student playing a guitar with his penis, and another where a student staged his own funeral. A lot of death.
I've got a lot of questions about the guitar, okay? Not to hold up proceedings.
Wouldn't it really hurt?
That's question 1. 2. Was he hard?
I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking this, like, floppy.
Because you'd think with the... Oh, God.
Apologise to Mubi. Look Mubi in the eyes and say, I'm sorry for hurting you.
Mubi, I am so sorry for this. Please pay our invoice.
You get 30 days for free. The African Desperate is streaming exclusively on Mubi.
Right. I have a question about the penis.
Go.
Is it, you'd think, right, you could get to a higher speed, more dexterity, right, on the guitar string if it's flaccid? Because...
Yeah.
You can, the movement there compared... Oh, no, cut this. You can just tell I don't have a dick. Like, the physics of it, the physics of all these things. Like, how? No, you pull a poo. No,
pull a poo. Another one to add: in a mark making lesson, And for anyone who hasn't been to art school and is just watching this out of like morbid curiosity,
God
mark
bless you.
making is like literally what it says. You know, a lot of artists just get a bit of paint and put it on a canvas or a pencil and put it on a bit of paper. But like mark making is supposed to be a way of thinking, what does that contact look like? How does that contact make contact? How does it happen? And how can we like innovate and make it look interesting visually?
Utilize it for ulterior motives.
So in a mark making lesson, a boy in my group with dreadlocks, brackets, who, may I add, was white, decided to cut one off, tie it to a stick, and paint with it. Next.
Let's just move on. I don't want to comment.
Watching a man on my course spend weeks creating an 8-foot puppet out of straw and mud, then, at an exhibition, he hid inside it, had his friends stand around banging drums while he tore a hole in it from inside and crawled out completely naked, danced around, and then his girlfriend shaved his head bald.
Okay. That's a kink as well, that must be.
That's a kink.
And no kink shaming here. This is a safe space. If a man isn't that the plot of The Wicker Man?
He went on to direct The Wicker Man. This guy.
And this man's name was Nicolas Cage. This is... Oh, God.
Ah, man.
I've got something to say.
Go on.
I hate this.
I genuinely feel like it's an exorcism. I hate this so
I'm
much.
in orbit. We've only been recording for 30 minutes and I'm already losing the plot.
Can you sympathise with how bad I have felt for the past 24 hours?
You know when you hear those horrifying stories about like Facebook moderators that have to go through like all this crap and they see shit, like, terrible shit. That's you.
Yeah. Because I should say, and bring it back to, everyone come back to earth for a second. You know, 70% of the messages that we got when we invited our lovely, unfortunately traumatized audience to share these stories with us, they were like on point in terms of like the core weirdness of going to art school and it all being like, yeah, very strange and mystical and like, you know, you come out of the other side of it very changed because of intangible forces. But 30% of the stories were not funny at all. Like 30% of the stories were like genuinely like, Zarina, stop laughing.
I'm thinking about pulling a poo. I can't. It's just
30% of the stories were about like genuinely like bad practice, like HR shit, like reporting students and tutors and other people for like horrible violations. It is like sometimes these bad things happen in art school, but like the weirdness allows for them to happen. Like people almost just act like the strange violations are okay because it's art school and you can do whatever you want. Yeah. And that is bizarre.
I think it's like in that lawlessness of like there are no rules, we make the rules. There's always some dickhead that turns up and is like, no rules, I'm going to be an absolute fucking prick, like the worst prick that you could ever meet. And we had people like that, like, but worse that I imagine exist out there, like. And do you know what? That's just really fucking uncool. Like, if you're gonna sit, the whole point of that lawless space, right, is that you're meant to open up new channels of understanding, right? You're meant to be, it's meant to be good for everyone. And when there's one dickhead that comes in and like just does nonsense, like proper like violent shit, it just kind of, it's not educational, it's not illustrative, it's not productive. It's actually just horrible.
We could just do a separate episode where we do talk about like the actual serious things that people get away with. But you know, there are things like this. So someone said that they remember the kid that brought a huge pile of soil into one of the rooms to roll around in it semi-naked for their performance piece.
Why is it always naked?
I later heard that the uni had to relay all the parquet floor in that room because all the dirt got stuck. And it's like funny, But it's that lawlessness. Like, it's like the building that you're in doesn't exist, and like the people who clean it don't exist, and the people who like fix the lights don't exist, because you're like this art student who just thinks that they're the fucking, like, that they're a god. They can do whatever they want, and they're like rolling in the debt.
Could have just put a tarp down, you know what I mean?
Could have just put something down on the floor.
I mean, for me, I have got a question the other way. Devil's advocate. Why has an art school got parquet floor?
Honestly, good question.
Like, you know, it's an art school. If it's meant to be this lawless space, just like, but you should make the students should be cleaning up at the end of that. You know, like if you're gonna make the mess, you've got to clean it.
Yeah.
Got parquet floor. Why are you doing irreparable damage to? You know what I mean? Like, I don't like. You see all these arts where they're like, oh, it's a grade something historic building. We can't do anything on the walls. Well, fucking, why are we here? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like,
I
feel like I'm on the moon, Gab. This is sent me into a spiral.
I'm not even here.
My moral compass is going like this.
It's spinning. Yeah, like there was this theme of people who just seemed like so above the rules, like often people who were described as like rich or whatever, posh in the messages. So someone had said, students skateboarding in the studios between sculptures and expensive equipment. When at Chelsea, I overheard a girl saying that she wanted to live in South London because it's dirtier.
No, but there's a quiet part to that, isn't it?
There's a quiet part. It's quite loud. One time, this girl in a crit said peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are for poor people. And that bringing your own lunch from home in general is for poor people. A very posh girl, who was a Tory, literally brought in her own knackered Converse as a piece for a crit, said, with her full chest, that they represented homelessness.
This is just bad art. The peanut butter jelly comment is out of pocket. So out of pocket. And do you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to bring your own lunch. Shut up! Why have you got to be stupid? That's so stupid. The Converse is just bad art.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me you don't have any ideas.
The posh girls on my foundation at Camberwell went through a phase of never wearing shoes. Barefoot.
Never!
At all times.
Right, okay, I have something to say.
Go on.
At the park round the corner from my mum's house, I used to go running when I was still living with my mum. And there was this guy that would, like, run barefoot all seasons. Not on the path. Through, like, the woody bit.
That's hardcore.
Really hardcore. And I think this is bizarre, but apparently, right, it's better for you to run barefoot because it's stabilising. I mean, that doesn't mean you should do it. I think that's incredibly foolish in London to be running barefoot. Are you crazy?
Okay. Devil's advocate. Are we being the police? Are we being, like, the body police?
Maybe we are. Maybe we're... Because when we were at art school, we were like, oh, yeah, these old people, they don't get it. They don't get it. Are we the old people? The old people police?
Are we the old people? Because we're 28?
So do you know what? In the interests of, like, appearing cool... Yeah. Pull the shit out your ass. God. I love it.
I don't even know how to transition into this one. I feel the toll of all of this so physically.
Let's just do like a hard transition. Go.
In NCAD, do you remember NCAD? We went there, National College of Art and Design in Dublin. In NCAD, we had the Naked Dancing Society. It was supposed to be done in a private room, but you could see into the window from the building across. Boobs were flying. Naked Dancing Society sounds kind of fun.
Don't say it.
Like a little bit fun. Like a little bit fun.
Do you know what? Yeah. Right, fine, I'll admit it. I wouldn't join, but I am pro-nude dancing. In the privacy of my... Do you know what? I think in the privacy of your own home kind of defeats the point, because you want to do it communally with other people. Maybe... Should we try it?
Right now.
Demonetized! No, like, let's try it. Next time you're down in London, we can have a naked dancing house party with all our
The next
friends.
time we're in Dublin. So this is... I'm interested in a follow-up question to you and the world. Can you do this outside of art school? Like, are there places that you can go that aren't...
To naked dance? There must be.
Because, devil's advocate... I don't even think this is devil's advocate at this point.
Every time one of us says devil's advocate, I full body clench. Like, I just...
Because, right, there is a freedom in art school. You know,
Yes.
Day one, clean slate, blank canvas. What art are you going to make? What are you going to do with your time here? You can do whatever the fuck you want.
But was Naked Dancing Society a piece of work? Or was
No,
it
but it's
simply a
in the art
pastime?
school. It's a student society from
Right.
the minds of artists and designers.
In that case, then devil's advocate. Maybe it's loosening you up, you know, putting you in an alternative headspace to really get creative. Like, maybe you go to Naked Dancing Society, unblock a synapse, and then make a masterpiece.
Exactly, because you're more in touch with your body. But would you
Loosen
rather be
up.
more in touch with your body by naked dancing or pulling a shit out of yourself?
Naked dancing.
I'd rather do naked dancing, which is why...
No, well, actually, but if you've... Right, that's just my answer. If you've got, like, body hang-ups, right? If you're not body positive, you're body negative, last thing you want is to be naked in front of strangers or even people you know. Worse, people you know. And actually, there is nothing dirty or shameful about reaching into the crevices of your own body and pulling out something that you have produced yourself. I'm pro shit pulling. I've thought about this now, and I'm going to try it. When we get off this call, next time I do a shit,
Say that.
I am simply going to reach into my own anal orifice and grasp at the emergent turd.
It's a
I'm going to give it a go.
It's a new kind of mark making. I just want to delete everything that we've said.
I think we could cut our losses now. 50 minutes isn't that long. Let's just cancel it all. No, right. Do you know what? Out of all, I don't know if I'm just desensitized. Out of all the stories you've told me so far, naked dancing has got like a wholesome, good vibe.
Exactly.
Yeah, fine.
That's what I mean. It feels really good vibes.
But would you do it?
Honestly, if we went the white pube and no one knew who I was, potentially.
You think you're too big for naked dancing now, do you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we can't go places without getting recognised right now. I'm not going to a naked dancing in an art school.
Can you imagine the next time we do a lecture in person, yeah? And they're like, oh, if you want to stick around after, we've got like one of the societies you can join in.
It's naked dancing.
Naked dancing.
Moving on. Okay, these two made me laugh. Carry on. Good vibes. Okay. During my MA, I was marked down for using the word motherfucker too much in my writing. Honestly, it just felt like that was a brag.
I feel like that's a flex. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Someone else said that they remembered a performance piece where a student sat naked in a small room and played Death Stranding while we peered in through the door. No shade though, he was the loveliest guy.
Before you said that last...
Was it me?
Before you said that last sentence, I was about to chip in and be like, and that student went on to become Gabrielle de la Fuente. Because as a member of the Naked Dancing Society, it doesn't make sense to put your clothes on.
Because The guy, Norman Reedus, playing Sam in Death Stranding, is naked for so much of that game. Like, there's an option when you go to, like, the little lobby part of the game to just have a shower or a shit or a piss. So you just see him just, like, take his clothes off. What is it about the nakedness?
Nakedness is very banal. It's very normal. It's a part of human existence. And if we are making things that encompass the entirety of human existence, like all of us, we're not Victorians, we're not prudes, as we know. We're perfectly fine with people showing us their intercourse, fluid paintings. We're fine with that.
Yeah, well, apparently we've changed our minds.
Totally, yeah. I feel like we really convinced ourselves round on that one.
Yeah.
We're fine with that. So nudity, banal, fine. Artwork should be able to represent the naked experience. So, I think, on one hand, it's fine, valid, great, 10 out of 10, continue as you were. On the other hand, I think there is nothing radical or shocking about the naked body. So, stop thrusting it in my face, because I don't know about you, but every time I go to the gym and I go to the changing room, there is a nude person there with their bum directly where I need to be. So, I see enough naked people without asking for it. Please, no more. I'm at capacity, actually.
Yeah.
So, and I can't decide which opinion I want to have.
You know, you're a complex person.
I contain multitudes.
You can believe all of it. Do you want to move on to weird tutors?
Were all the weird students just naked stuff?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's, if we are going to turn this into a teachable moment, then we can say, moral of the story is, if you are about to go to art school and you want to be cool, keep your clothes on. If you want people to like you. Unless you're playing Death Stranding in a room naked.
Yeah. At least there's a point to that.
Yeah. Learn from this so you don't have to.
When it comes to the weird tutor stuff, a lot of it was comments that were made to students in crits.
I can already tell. This is going to be my least favourite one of these.
Or the funniest. I was told to be careful or my work will look like an IKEA lampshade. Not a bad thing. Someone said to a student, don't use your powers of design to scare people.
Use your powers of design for good. With great powers of design come great powers of respect.
I was told I draw like a man once. I don't know if that was good or bad, ?
What? You draw like a man?
Yeah, what does that mean?
That literally means nothing. What it means is your tutor's probably a misogynist.
My tutor at CSM once showed up to a tutorial high and with a pirate patch and told me the film I had made had the narrative structure of a blowjob. What a comment.
Go on. I'm going to start saying... Next white pube crit, I'm going to turn up high and I'm going to be like, this has the narrative structure of a blowjob. And people are going to be like, they were so wise. Oh my God, what does that mean? The narrative structure of a blowjob.
For an alien who's just landed on this planet, how do you explain that to someone?
Well, that sentence has got energy for me.
Every blowjob is different.
It's like a snowflake.
Is this tutor having like the exact same repetitive sexual act? Like that he knows when the ending is? That he knows like when the... Do you know what I mean?
You don't know he. Does it say pronouns?
It didn't. This could be anyone. It could be anyone.
But also, I will say, in defence of this tutor and their critical opinion about the narrative structure of this film, which we're going to take seriously, you do know that... See, actually, no, maybe not at the end of every blowjob. Maybe all of mine. I know what's coming. But, oh, cut that.
No,
I know.
I'm not going to cut it.
maybe, but you don't. There's an expected outcome, you know, and it comes.
It comes.
No, none of that.
All of
that.
it, Serena. All of it.
Settle down, right? Right. Everyone settle down and get your mind out of the gutter. I understand this comment, right? Because there's an expected outcome. And when it arrives, you're not surprised, but you are pleasantly... You're pleased.
Yeah.
And so, you better cut that.
I'm not putting any of this out. I'm putting it all in. We got a lot of messages that were along the lines of this one. First year of uni, I make a short film featuring my brown family. The white tutor tells me, you make political art. What's that supposed to mean?
Tutor's racist. Move on.
A person who simultaneously streaked through the campus was also our life model for no reason. And a tutor who told me in order for me to progress, I have to make art about my blackness and not other issues I was doing it about. Yet again, forcing black artists to only re-traumatize themselves.
Oh, that's just racist. But that is literally just racist. It's just ye oldie racism. Like, it's not even fun racism where it's like, oh my god, ooh, you got like creative with it. It's literally just racism. Like, it's not even creative. You could get fun and funky with it. I want to hear some new racism. I hope that in the year of our Lord 2022, if we're gonna do racism, just throw me some new shit, you know? Like, mix it up a bit. Freestyle. Remix.
Someone said, I'm from Jordan, and in second year I made a series of illustrations about toxic masculinity in the Arab world. I had a group tutorial of show, don't tell. At the end, the tutor didn't get it and just said he saw terrorist imagery and said my platform shoes can fit a bomb. Islamophobic asshole.
Get fun and funky.
White male tutor told the only non-white person in our crit group that he shouldn't make any political work. And I bring this up because, like, because it's obviously important, but we got so many messages that said the exact same thing. Tutors just absolutely bamboozled and also, like, offended that any student that wasn't white was, like, overtly political, or they were, like, projecting politicalness onto their identity.
That is interesting.
It is interesting.
It's definitely something I experienced at art school.
Tell me about it.
I feel like I got that feedback where it was like, well, this is political. And I was like, is it? Okay, all right, fine. And I started, like, leaning into that politicality and getting fun and funky with it. And people were like, whoa. And all they saw was the politics of the work. And they didn't see the fun and funky because I was being a dickhead at times. And playing with the fact that it was being read as political by being like... I just think that... I think people should shut up, basically. I think sometimes you should go to art school and you shouldn't say fucking anything to people and just let them get on with what they're making and maybe they'll figure it out for themselves. I know that the entire point of art school is to go into a room with people and get their opinion, and through hearing other people's opinions repeatedly for 3 years, you learn something. Sometimes the things you learn are not actually helpful or educational and they're actively damaging. But I can't think... Can you remember some of the things that people said about mine and other ethnic minorities' work? Ethnic minorities, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I've just lost the plot. I'm in orbit. We've got a big Asian prime minister, and I hate it. And like, I'm just feeling like Rishi Sunak's at number 10 Downing Street, and I'm feeling racist towards Asians. That's...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's racially speaking, I'm in a tense space.
Okay.
It's...
Okay.
Do you remember some of the things that were said to me or others? Because I don't.
What stands out to me is the review of your work that you just your like Bloomberg New Contemporaries film.
That wasn't really art school though, was it? I'd graduated.
But it was on the cusp, wasn't it? It was like we just left art school and Zarina was showing in Bloomberg New Contemporaries in the Bluecoat in Liverpool the summer after it, and Valdemar Janisak posted a review of it. How did he phrase it?
He called my work brave.
He called your work brave.
And it was because it was... Oh, I don't even want to say this.
I know, it's...
But my work was terrible, terrible. I should underline that I now look back on this work and I think, you fool. You fool. You were so bad at making art. And actually, really, you should have just been writing about... You should have write through these thoughts. Tell, don't show. Because showing is not something you're good at. And it's just tell. It was me shaking my ass in a blue morph suit in front of drone footage. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And do you know what, actually? I think there's something to be said about, no offence to Bloomberg New Contemporaries, but like, who fucking selected that work? Because the calibre of it, the quality was objectively terrible. And I think, why did you choose it?
Because probably...
Is it just clickbait? It was just clickbait. I think it was just clickbait.
But also, it goes back to like that edginess thing of art school, doesn't it? It's like ooh, and almost, you know, maybe if I'm allowed to say, a slight like allowance or accommodation because like you weren't white, so you like if we can't say these things, maybe this brown artist can say these things, and then we can put them in our white cube gallery, and then it's set. Hands off, we're backing away.
Do you know what is interesting? Because actually, as well, on the selection panel, there was an Asian artist. And I think there's something about wanting to select something. Oh my God, they played the race card. I just think that if you're going to call someone's work really political, you should have a think about what that means, and you should be willing to explain what that means. And there should be a better explanation than just like, oh, well, you've got something of a funny tinge about you, you know? That funny tinge comment was said by a Tory MP. That's a joke. That's called satire. Just to clarify, because this has been a stressful enough episode as it is without me stressing people out. That was satire.
I'm slightly looping us back around to the whole point of the episode, which was the African Desperate, which opens with a crit where it's like Palace's identity as a black artist isn't like almost like it's everyone's like too afraid to talk about it, but like they want to talk about it so much, and they talk around it and they talk through it and they talk about it in like this kind of like slightly annoyed way.
Yeah.
And it's so uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable in a way that just really made me think of every single person that messaged us saying, you know, either my work or someone else's work was called political in a way that felt loaded because of their race. Every single person who sent us messages like that, I just thought like, please watch the film. And I don't even mean that in a we are sponsored, so I'm trying to make you watch the film way.
No, but it's therapeutic. There's a catharsis in it. Yeah. I mean, there's something about the scene, like the way it's laid out. Like, I remember one of the edits I got back from Gab, like, when we write text, we write it and then we send it to each other and we have a little read through, send each other some feedback. And one of the notes I wrote about the crit scene, and one of the notes you sent back was like, you need to double down and make sure that you make a point about the fact that this is a script, like this is fiction, someone wrote this. It didn't just come out of a tutor. And it just didn't occur to me that like it was too real.
It is real. Yeah.
And it's really well written. It's really well written because it's not just really real, but it's just like really well laid out. Like you can see the anatomy of like how things are moving within like the dynamics, the power play within that crit. Because it just makes it often in crits, like in these moments when tutors are saying this batshit crazy stuff to you, you don't really know what's going on. It's like being in a fight with a blindfold on. Like, you just don't know, that you don't even know where things are coming from. Like, it's just like, you're like, oh my god, like this, like, I'm feeling very attacked, don't know where the blows are coming from. Within that crit scene, everything feels clear. Like, you can kind of see, it feels forensic. You can see the way it's moving. And I think that's where the catharsis is. Because not only can you recognise and relate to things that have been said to you, I'm assuming that I'm speaking to all people who are not white at this point. You not only can you, like, relate to things that have been said to you, but you can kind of see through, like, being able to see the motivation behind what, like, reasons why these things were said within that crit in the film. You kind of, like, it triggers you to think, like, oh my god, like, maybe that it makes other things clearer. And I don't know if that's just, like, projection, or, like, just, like, maybe I need therapy, but I think there is, like, a weird, it does something. It's affective, that scene, and I think it's incredible that someone wrote it, because it does things. You know, it's not just a thing that exists in the world. It's a thing that does things in the world.
I think what you're picking up on now is something, like, that I felt as a white person as well, but for, like, class reasons. Like, and I know other people who kind of feel like they have other boxes that they can sit in will have felt the same thing. Like, that you're sat in a tutorial, you might be an 18-year-old, but you also might not be. There are, you know, people of all ages go to art school, but you're coming towards the tutor as like the expert and the person who has all the knowledge. And I remember being so impressed by our tutors and thinking, like, wow, you must have read so many books, you must have been to so many exhibitions, you know so much, you've been doing this for so long. Like, there's an implicit trust that you're going to be able to guide me through, like, these aesthetic problems. But when they start speaking to you, it can be so heavy, and it can be so hard to, like, actually pull the bits out that are useful, that are any use, and so that you can put them into practice.
It's that stark moment when you realise that actually your tutor's chatting shit and they know fuck all.
They might be chatting shit. And actually, it's kind of a really strange way to learn, to be in a one-to-one tutorial or to be in a crit setting and, like, have these odd comments fly all around you, and you have to sort of take them away and, like, put them into the artwork and change the artwork into something new based on what all these other people have said. Like, it's just difficult to make that translation. So when you then add identity into the mix, it just complicates it even more, because then it's like all of these moral values are added to everything, and you don't know what to do because you know who you are and what you've experienced, and this tutor is, like, sort of got nothing to do with anything. And yet they're saying stuff to you, and because they're in a position of power, you feel like you have to listen. It's like speaking to the doctor when you're sick. You think, like, they know what they're talking about, so I probably should listen to them, but actually they might be wrong.
And I think it's like a double bind, because so often when they're chatting shit, the fact that they're chatting shit, like, the shit that's coming at you is inscrutable, right? Inscrutable. And you've got to somehow, as an maybe 18-year-old, maybe 58-year-old, regardless, this is new to you. If you're at art school, you've only been doing this 3 years, 4 years max, which is no time at all. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you've been doing things on the... Anyway, you've somehow got to pass this shit, like PARSE, pass this shit, and, like, figure out what they're saying, why they're saying it, and what it means that they're saying it. And that could be anything.
So watching it as a scene in a film is like being able to hold it at a distance, and also being able to pause it and go back and be like, oh, like watching how the chess pieces move. Like 4 times. I watched it twice. I was like, whoa. And
you know, by the 4th time, I was like, I felt like my mind, a little lid popped up on my head, and all of a sudden, like, I feel the breeze on my brain. Like, it was like, I felt like it did something to me. I was like, oh my God. Like, you know?
Yeah, I do know. And I've got one final comment, which is that maybe because moments like that are so inscrutable, to use your word, because it's kind of perfect, maybe it is just fucking easier to pull a shit out your ass. It's so much more straightforward. The crit after that would have been so simple. So simple.
Yeah, no, devil's advocate, I heavily disagree. Big disagree.
I don't even believe what I'm saying. It's just funny.
I know for a fact, on God, I would bet £1 million, a million big ones, that the student that pulled the shit out of their ass was white.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know for a fact that you cannot say boo to a fucking goose, yeah, as anything else in art school without people being like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Political. You're political.
Yeah. Imagine some student of colour rocks up to the performance night, trousers unbuttoned, wouldn't even hit your knees before people are like, oh my God, like, you wouldn't even get as far as pulling the shit.
No.
It'd kick off. No way.
You'd have to suck it back in.
You'd have to push it back in. Oh,
it'd just be called like a dirty protest. Security would get called.
It wouldn't be personally implicated as it would. I mean, maybe rightly or wrongly, as a. I've had enough.
I've had enough as well. Basically, the moral of the story is that certain freedoms are allowed to certain people based on their identity and privilege, and all of that happens outside in the world, in all the industries, but it is so fucking clear in art school. It is clear, bright as day.
I think art school's a lawless place, but there are some laws, and no one tells you what they are. You're just going to spend 3 to 4 years figuring it out.
And then you leave, and you can carry on with your life, and
think about the fever dream that you've just experienced, because that shit fucking wacky, mate.
You can stream The African Desperate, the new film by Martin Sims, exclusively on Mubi, and you can watch it for 30 days for free, but also you get to watch all the other shit that's on Mubi. I love Mubi. I watch it all the time. For free. Please do it. Please sign up. Even if you don't watch stuff, but you will, because there's good stuff in there. Click the link. Send it to people.
10 times.
Put this on loop.
No, don't.
I
take it back. Don't listen to this 4 times. If you do, really whack the volume down to 0, because do you know what? That was a terrible thing for me to say. I would like to apologise formally to our audience as well for the content that we've just unpacked. Thank you to our audience for sending things in, but sorry. Sorry that you experienced this, and sorry that you experienced this in secondhand replay.
What do they expect? We're called the White Pube. The end.
That doesn't look that radical now. Like, a wacky name? I don't think so. Someone's pulling shit like a magician's handkerchief out of their bum. Like it's a fucking fruit winder.
Oh God.
Oh my God. How is that the weirdest thing that you said in this that's the thing I'm taking away.
That's the thing we'll never forget. Okay. Thank you for listening. Stream The African Desperate. See you on the next episode of the podcast. Bye.
Bye.
White